former Coronation Street star who says his life has been devastated after he was suspected of being involved in what's reported to be the costliest global bribery scandal of all time.
Phil Middlemiss is who we're talking about, and he's always denied any wrongdoing and has now been cleared by UK investigators of that. And it's the case that saw plane maker Airbus pay out more than £3 billion in fines. It's an extraordinary story. We're going to chat to him about it in a moment. Phil joins us now. Phil, we were saying earlier, it sounds like the plot line of a Corrie. It sounds like exactly the sort of thing that you would have got caught up with. It's unbelievable that it happened to you in real life. Because it must have just... When did you first realise that what you were involved with Airbus was this extraordinary scam?
Well, I think that would be, I mean, the last 3 years since the SFO and everyone have been involved. But going back to that, I lost contact with, or left contact with Airbus in 2014 and had no idea what was going on, as most people didn't. I mean, there was a so-called slush fund that was set up there by certain elements in Airbus. So really, it wasn't until we got the letter sent that we realised, and I didn't understand why. It's not a letter that you want to open.
Of course not.
You know, and that's what changed everything around, really. But you're right.
So as far as you were concerned, you'd left Corrie, you'd gone out and had this new life, got involved with this thing, ended that, come back home, and then out of nowhere, you get hit by this.
Yeah, I mean, I went out initially there after I did Where the Heart Is for a bit. So I went out initially
to Ghana.
To Ghana, yeah, because there was a woman called Abigail Mensah who was a writer, and it was to actually go out and produce a film out there. So I went out. I had a friend that was out there who was working there. Went out a working trip really to do locations, and it was why I was out there that I got involved with the Ghana Film Institute and looked at other projects.
How does it go from looking at other projects and working on films to suddenly being a middleman in trying to sell a £50 million or $50 million aeroplane, Phil? It's an extraordinary leap, isn't it, to get from one to the next?
It is an extraordinary leap, but when I say I was doing or looking at other projects, the projects that I was looking at, as well as setting up a performing arts school for children, was also tourism-based. So I was looking at a boutique hotel. I was also looking at a glass factory, because you've got to remember that Ghana, at the time, was such an up-and-coming country that there was a lot of people in the UK and Europe that wanted to go in there and set up an infrastructure. So through that, I sort of... it's quite an insular place, really, Accra, beautiful place, but I met a lot of government officials and people in government departments. So therefore, I had knowledge of that. And when Airbus came, all I was doing, the word you would look, and whatever way you say it, it sounds... dubious, really. A facilitator, an agent, a middleman, as you said. Basically, what I was doing was looking after Airbus on the ground. So I would be looking at getting visas, because they'd arrive at such short notice. I would be facilitating meetings, so therefore I wouldn't go into the meetings, but they would go there. So ground crew would come, specialists would come, and I would set up that, hotels, that sort of thing. And that's how it started. So it wasn't that big leap, because it sounds like it is a huge leap, you know, from suddenly going out there and going, oh, I'm looking at locations. Oh, hello, Airbus. It didn't work like that. There was a lot of work and preparation went into that.
The impact of this has been devastating for you. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, there's a lot in between that, but the impact of that is, of course, Ghana picked up the SFO, and it was all a very, I mean, in my eyes...
Serious fraud office.
Yeah,
people who haven't
serious fraud
had to use those initials before.
Yeah, I'm so used to saying it the other way around.
Exactly,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like DPA, Deferred Prosecution Agreement. We'll get to that thing. Yeah, but it's a strange one, really. I mean,
You've ended up losing your house.
The house, the car, It's a very stressful situation. And when you get that through your door... Luckily, I've got great friends and a great support network. I've got a great family. The missus is a complete rock, really. You know,
because she must have been terrified and worried as well.
Everybody was terrified. I mean, it's just something that you don't expect. And then when we got put... The best one was when we got put under red notice by Interpol.
Just explain, because Andy McNabb has written a book called SAS Red Notice, and it's an international notice that's put out that goes to all ports to stop... If you see this person, they become one of the most wanted people globally. So you were put on the red notice. So you became internationally one of the most wanted people in the world.
It's good on your CV, isn't it?
It's extraordinary. I mean, it sounds like fiction.
Well, you know, you've just hit the nail on the head because you understand the severity of the red notice. So when I saw the red notice had been issued, the thing about it was issued in Ghana, and you've already explained the protocol. You shut down every port, and then suddenly if your address is there, they know where you are, then within an hour they'll be there and you'll be whisked off. So I saw them, and my first thought was, again, oh, my God. And I looked on the red notice on the wanted, and it's full of the world's worst, as you can imagine. It's got terrorists and everyone in there. Luckily, of course, I wasn't on there. So then I thought to myself, well, this is strange, because what they'd done is it looked like they'd cut and copied an old OK picture of me on the top. So I thought, OK, I'll take that. Then it said underneath it, by the way, it printed all my passport details, where I lived, and my telephone number, countries I was likely to visit, which I'd never been to any of them. But then at the top it said he may be travelling under his alias of Des Barnes.
Oh, my goodness.
And I thought, I am a bit of a stupid guy, but even I could come up with a better alias if I was on the run than Des Barnes. And I did think to myself, you know, why has this been... So 20 months later, or 18 months later, I hadn't been picked up. But you've got to remember, I needed to travel. I needed to go in Europe, and you can't travel. But I was so convinced that this was a fake that I thought, I'm going to put it to the test.
Yeah.
And walking through that airport up to that desk... I mean, I just thought they're going to grab me. It was literally Midnight Express, you know, the whole thing. Yes. Waiting to be got hold of. So I went in and that went straight through, not a bomb. Yeah, in you go. Because it flags straight on your passport as soon as that happens. But this alias Des Barnes, I mean, you know, if you want to come get me, I was in Tesco's yesterday at 4 o'clock. I mean, it
makes
hard.
you wonder if they really fully understood the situation about you. I mean, you mentioned Des Barnes, extraordinary character that was so beloved. Did you get contacted by your Corrie mates? Were they supportive too?
Yeah, I mean, I keep in touch with a few, and a few from where the heart is. But yeah, Charlie Lawson, really. Charlie's been a great friend of mine, and we've kept in touch. And Simon Gregson, he's great. So those guys understood.
Was there a bit of you that worried, gosh, will people believe this of me?
Oh, everyone. I mean, because I couldn't say anything because of this investigation, so I kept quiet. This is the first time I've actually talked about it. So there was lots of people commenting on it all over the place in every form of media. And don't forget, because of my details on there, everything that biometric details, data protection, everything's been infringed. But yeah, they stuck by me. Everyone stuck by me that's a real friend. You find out who your friends are. That's what you do.
It's an extraordinary tale, Phil. I'd imagine someone somewhere is busily writing this down as a plot for a Netflix series, a film or whatever, and let's hope something positive can come out of it. But what is next, then? How are you going to get beyond this and what's on the horizon?
Well, you know, I'm just heading into the... because of all the stress and everything else, what I did do, I managed to get myself a great team now who are working for the case, because no money.
Legal team.
Legal team, they're brilliant. Yeah, Holborn Adams are brilliant. They've put me in touch with a great... He's an eminent psychiatrist, consultant psychiatrist, and that I'll be tested for whatever. So that bit I've sort of got. Let me get that.
Taking care of yourself emotionally.
Emotionally and physically. Not physically, but emotionally. Yeah, and the family as well. All that support network is in place. After that, you know, like I said, no casting director in the world is going to look at someone and let's open it. Oh, there's Phil Middlemiss. Oh, yes, Des Barnes, wanted for bribery and corruption. It's not a great CV, as I said. So I'll get an agent, because my old agent retired, and maybe I'll start treading the boards, because I do come from a classical background, really.
Yeah.
And I've got a production company. I've got something lodged with William Morris at the minute, but I can't do anything. COVID didn't help, and now that. So, yeah, we've been approached by a couple of networks, one very big one about making a dramatisation, but that's way...
Yeah, you've got to get yourself in order physically and mentally first.
Yeah, and I've got to make sure every step... You know, I've got this bugbear now with this legal thing. I look at everything.
Of course.
You know, that's how it is, so...
Yeah. Undoubtedly. It's just an extraordinary tale, and we really appreciate you coming in and sharing it with us.
And well done for keeping going through it all.
Absolutely, likewise. But, you know, really, thank you for having me.
Love to chat to you, and lovely to chat to you, and hopefully we'll be back with something new, project or something that's away from all of this.
Unless I get picked up on the way out there. Could be anywhere, couldn't I, really? You know, travelling under Des Barnes.